Greetings, dear ones. I am Cryon of Magnetic Service. Impossible, some would say, that such a thing could be. That you would assemble in a place like this, and a human being would sit in a chair, and in would come energies from the other side of the veil. Well, I don't expect you to believe that. And instead, I will say, why don't you instead feel the love that is pouring into this sweet, sweet place? Instead of the words, why don't you just honor the fact that God is here? And that for these few moments of teaching and explanation, that if you hear nothing but the music and the drone of the human being who sits here, you will indeed be filled with Spirit. Would you let that happen? Could you suspend belief to such a degree that you would allow a brother, a sister to speak to your heart today? Would you? A place so sweet is so safe. You can think whatever thoughts you want to. You can think the fears. Let them drop away, be swept up. That's what this place is about. Even those who do not believe that such a thing as channeling could happen, even you would be okay with the love of God coming in. Maybe touching your heart. We know who's here. We've expected who's here. Even those who say, I didn't know I was coming, or I've come with someone else. I will tell you, there is no accident that you sit in the chair, dear human being. No accident. Indeed. For what you carry with you and your wants, your desires, your frustrations, known to God they are. And what human beings do not understand is that the equipment is ready to go. You are born with a duality, as my partner has spoken to you about. And in a darker energy of this planet, it's actually biased against you not to find God, not to discover the divinity within, not to see the interdimensionality of it. And so many of you say, well, I don't know what to do. How can I make something happen in my life? I really don't get it, you might say. And I'll tell you this, dear human being, I'll say it again. I'll say it as long as my partner can breathe it. I will say it, and that is, there is one step to ascension. And that is for the human being to sit down with pure intent when they're alone, speaking only to their higher self and knowing it's their higher self. Say, dear God, tell me what it is I need to know. I'm ready to start the process. And you don't have to know what the process is. Intent for something complex to begin is all it takes. Do not try to overanalyze what you must do next. How about you just sit there and love yourself? What about that one? Love yourself. Can you look in the mirror, stare at your own eyes and say, I am that I am? Can you do that? Do you have the courage to believe that just maybe you're a creature of the heavens? You always were, you always will be. You have that courage? You're not here for a little while, human being. You're here forever. And on this planet, around you go. That's hidden, completely hidden. It's going to take you understanding that faith is required. And you're not going to have to muster up an energy that only you know where it's going to come from. All you have to do is push on the door. And all those layers of DNA that my partner was talking about will start to activate in the order and in the sequence that they should for you. I know who's here. We're going to discuss one more time, light and dark. A little of what we have said and what you have called the United Nations, I will say, to get it started, and then I will shift gears and move to something else. For I want you to hear this. There's such a misunderstanding about who God is, how Spirit works with humanity. Such a misunderstanding. Mythology would have you believe that God sits on a platform looking at you, pushing and pulling things around, sometimes in a difficult way, just to see if you can manage it. There's the idea that God is so powerful, could do anything to the earth. After all, isn't that what you were taught? But you don't understand. There are those who would cry out and say, God, why don't you heal this planet? Look at the strife, the sorrow, the death, the unhappiness, incredible sorrow of the moms and dads, of the children. Oh, why don't you come down and straighten this mess out, they say. And then there are those who say, it's proof that there is no God, that things are in such a turmoil. Proof, they say. God would never let this happen, they say. You don't know how God works with humanity. And if you did, it would change your life. If you really did, you'd understand how you finally fit into the picture of God. And so I'm going to tell you yet again, maybe even surprise you with something new. God can only work with the pieces and parts of humanity that allow free choice of light. The door that God goes through is the one in the human being's higher self who opens it. That changes the balance of dark and light on the planet. And it's only the pieces of light that Spirit is able to work with through the human beings who vibrate at a higher level. Free choice, therefore, is sacred. And those are the rules. And if the planet chose to shut off the light and go into darkness, God would retreat. That is the way it is. And you have known this. It is your duality. It is what you came knowing at the intuitive level of your soul. Therefore, our encouragement to open the door is to let the light in and out of the human being. And we'll speak of this in just a moment, for I know I speak in circles. Let me tell you this. We can only work with the light that you have. But in these past 20 years, something has happened that has been remarkable. And that is the light itself has shifted. It is more intense. It is brighter than it was. So even though you might have the same number of human beings shining light as lighthouses, the light is more intense. It goes further. It affects more things. And that, my friends, is the definition of this new age. And you're feeling it, aren't you? What did you think when the Armageddon did not happen? What did you think with the Mayan information about 2012? Do you not see the changes afoot? Can you not feel the energy shifting beneath you? Are you not aware that a Mercury retrograde is more severe now than it was the last time it happened? How many of you felt that one? You are more susceptible now to the vibratory changes of what the planets do around you than you ever have been before, because this planet is more in sync than it ever has been before with the very solar system it is part of. We told you about the magnetics. We told you about the weather. We told you about the consciousness. We told you about the children. And they're all in front of you. The light is brighter. What you see today in what you would call your Middle East is because the light is brighter. And you might say it doesn't look at all like there's any light at all there. How could there be any light in what we see? Oh, the death, the hate. Let me tell you something. We'll say it again. When the light starts to shine in a very bright way, it illuminates things that were always in the dark, and the earth gets to see it. And the very attribute of looking at these things changes them. Indeed, the planet now is locked, not only in controversy, but in a puzzle of how to solve something it did not even know existed 5 or 6 years ago. The light is bright. It shows the things to work on, does it not? And they may be unpleasant to see and watch. Humans with humans, selecting the darkness and the light accordingly. Those areas that are now being shined upon would never have shifted had it not been for the light. Another 1,000 years would go by and nothing would change. And you don't have that time. For this planet is headed for yet another wave, another resurgence of energy that will literally vibrate the crystalline grid in a way that hasn't been seen for over 1,000 years or more. There are some attributes that are planned in generations to come that only the Lemurians have known. You are in transition, and you know it. And so let us tell you yet again, in the simplest way we can, the metaphor of the lighthouse, how you are involved, what you can do, what is going on. In the simplest way we can, we have the lighthouse. It's anchored on the shore, and it is shining a light in order to help guide the ships at sea to safe harbor and not with the rocks. It's warning of the riptides. And there it sits, shining. 3 kinds of humanity, basically, that see this light or don't. And we'll speak this yet again and change it just a little from the last time we spoke of it. One kind of human being in his ship has his pilot house with no windows. Oh, they're boarded up. He does not see the lighthouse. He doesn't think he needs to. Because he knows what the light is. He's got the books that talk about it. He's got his charts. He has all of the tools. He doesn't need that new light shining in an odd place. So he's boarded up his windows, and he's going to steer with the mythology and the knowledge that he has. He always has used before, and he's going to make it. He says he always has. Then there's the second kind of human who says, well, I have the mythology, and I have my maps, and I have my compass, and I'm going to do the same thing as that first one is, but I might get in trouble, so I've got blinds that I can raise quickly if I get in trouble, and then I'll look at the light. And there's the third kind that says, I really need that light. I'm even going to take that glass out of my lighthouse. I need to feel it. I want to breathe it in. I'm going to follow that light. Now let's back up a moment and analyze some of these things and what they mean. And in doing so, I'm going to reveal to you the real differences of what is going on today in this attribute you call earth. Some of you have noticed that the way things work has changed. Feels different. Swimming upstream, some have called it. Meditation seeming like tuning into another channel. Things are not working quite the same as they did, are they, healer? Trying to get abundance in your life is seemingly to grasp at fairies as they pass by. It's just not working like it used to. And some of you know the other side of that. You've tuned into the station and you're now working it very well. But you're aware of the changes, aren't you? It's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be because you shifted the reality of the planet back in 1987. Reality is not going to match the maps that you used to have, you see. It's a safe place. We can talk about that. The human being who puts the boards up around his pilot house and says, I got the maps, I got the traditions, I've got the mythology, doesn't believe anything's changed until they end up on the rocks. Can't believe it. They're not around to talk about it. Shocked they are when the maps don't work anymore. The ones who only use the light when they're in trouble, they're shocked too, because by the time they realize they're in trouble, they're on the rocks. They don't even understand what a spiritual storm is. The tides are different, the rocks have moved, even the light has shifted. Dear ones, even the port is in another place. Now here's what we want to tell you about this. All of those who are humans trying to navigate these three attributes are loved, they are family, they are respected, and the majority of them will flounder. Well, that doesn't mean that they're going to die on the rocks. It just means that the rocks of life are upon them, as they always have been. It means it's going to be harder for them to open up the wheelhouse, the pilot house. Harder for them to do this. I finally see where the light is. And we've said this before. The 90% of Earth falls into the first two categories. And you can look at them, and you can see the difficulties, and you can see the sorrow, and you can see the pain, and you can see the drama of their lives. What about you? You wouldn't be here unless you had some vision of what the light was, would you? Would you sit in these chairs and be listening to this if it were not so? Listener who is not here, let me ask you this. Why are you listening to this? What is it about your choice? You think God doesn't see you there listening? It's not in the time frame as those I appear to be talking to right now. There are thousands of you who are not here in 3D right now, And I know who you are right now. It's your now, isn't it? Which one are you? Have you discovered in your personal life yet what it's like to push on that door and let God in? Or have you boarded it up and you're going to take God on your terms? And if you do, I'll tell you, it's a difficult life. Wouldn't it be nice to drop the burdens? This is basic. This has been taught in many, many ways for a very long time. And I'm telling you, one of the things that happens when you follow that light is it becomes well with your soul. Peace where there was no peace. You start to change. You start to change who you want to be with and what you will say to those. You start to be non-judgmental. You start to have compassion. Even those things politically that you would not believe or even visit or even listen to, suddenly you are hearing them because you are more balanced to hear both sides. You are not one-sided. At least you listen. This is what is taking place. I am telling you this. Dear human beings, the light of this planet is created by those who take down the shutters. I'll tell you that in a minute, even more in a minute. So how's your personal life? What would you like out of today in this safe place? Would you like to take some of this energy, this angelic sweetness home with you? I want to tell you something you may not be aware. You brought it in with you. You just didn't activate it. It's not Cryon. It's the energy of the sister and the brother that you are. It's the flame of expansion. It's the healing. It's the higher self. Each one of you has it. So profound is it who the human being is. What about those who came for healing? Let me speak of this for just a moment. Healers in the room, you know that you don't heal anyone. You balance them. And it's up to the human being to look at that balance and do with it what they will. And some will heal and some will not. And some will have miracles and some will not. You all know that. And what makes the difference between the one who comes for a healing and you balance them and they heal, and the one that does not? And I will tell you, it's the one who decides to board up the pilot house and say, well, I'll just go with what I know, instead of the one who openly says, I want what is inside. I want a light that I have not experienced yet. I don't want to worry anymore. I want to be able to walk from this place and not be consumed by anxiety. I don't want to worry about money, relationships, work. I would like to give, I would like to be a beacon for a while. I want to give of the abundance of the universe to those around me. I want them to look at me and say, something's really different about you. Maybe that's what you're saying today. Oh, you came to the right place. Listener, you came to the right place. This is for you. Why don't you sit there for a minute and really take in what I'm saying? You have divinity inside. It's like a jar waiting to be unscrewed with free choice. And if you don't unscrew it, nothing bad's going to happen. It's just that jar is going to be tossed by the waves like it has been all your life. But when you unscrew that jar and out comes the divinity and you start the process, I will tell you, you are in charge of the waves. And it's a big difference. And this is scriptural, and you've heard it, and the masters have taught it. As long as there have been humans, you're in charge of your own destiny. your own drama or non-drama if you choose. Why don't you just drop all that? The revelation is clear, and it is this: that God cannot do anything without humans opening the door. More than just free choice, we tell you this, that as you push upon that door so you may help yourself on this planet to find the divinity inside, what takes place is that on the other side of the veil there is a push back, and the light goes through the crack, and it becomes the light of the earth. And if you want to know who God is on planet Earth, it is a collection of light workers that are sitting here and are listening to this, and who are reading this, who are letting the light out of that door onto the planet to shine greatly. And that's the only vehicle that God has to change the planet. How does that make you feel? Goes two ways, you know. So God does not sit on a throne, toy with human beings, stir the light in the dark. God waits for free choice. When you open the door, the light streams out, and that's the light of the earth. Less than 0.5% of you have to make the choices to do this for peace on earth. I am telling you yet again that the light that you carry is stronger than any darkness on the planet. It is active. There's no such thing as darkness when any light is there. Did you notice? The very concept of darkness leaves when one match is struck. That's the power you have to let God into the earth. Now let us speak of the obvious. A channeled message is before you. What gives Spirit the ability to come into this place and speak freely to you of these things? What is it that allows Spirit to move through this place and touch you and your heart and your shoulders and your head? And I will tell you, because you, by your sitting here, dear ones, in this place called Manhattan, have opened a door. A small portal by your allowance, by your free choice that said, I will listen today to the words of Spirit. And through this portal not only comes information, but some of you are aware, pours light for the planet. While the door is open, the light shines greatly. And if you'd like to keep the door open, it's easy. Just don't shut it in your heart. I'm going to address these who sit in front of me now. Oh, brothers and sisters. Again, I know who you are. I know what you have gone through. I know what you are going through. I represent Cryon, a group that you have known by many names through the ages, in many languages through the ages. I am the helper of the planet. I stand at the gate of your birth and your death. By many names am I known, and I am in love with humanity. Dearly loved you are in the passing and the coming and the going more than you know. Wouldn't this be a good time to shift your own belief? Could this be true? Could it be happening? Is it worth it to see? There are those who have come for healing that don't even know it today, and by the fact that you are sitting in the chair, you are healed. I count now 4 of you who will leave differently than you came, and you know who you are. It's why you showed up. There are now 5. And so, light worker, can you celebrate these who have been healed this day? Can you? Can you say softly to yourself, quietly in your own mind, thank you? I can say it. Thank you for having the compassion that you would allow these in your midst to find this nugget that they came for. 5 healings, and not all of them physical. I've had a heart healing. There's been a past healing in here, and you know who you are. And I'll tell you, you don't have to wake up in anxiety anymore because God is with you. We're going to put a big iron layer around that issue that you can't forget, and your sorrow is going to be put on the shelf where it belongs so you can move on. I know who's here. I know who's here. Those you've loved and lost, walk the aisles. And you don't even know it. The mechanics are spectacular. And you don't even know it. Limited are you in your sight, but not in what you can feel in your heart. And so it is this night that I have come with this information yet again about darkness and light. And so it is again I have come to reveal how God works with humanity. And so it is I have come yet again to wash your feet and to tell you, I'll see you again. And when you do, we'll talk about this day. And we will intermingle energies as we've had so many times and done so many times, Lemurian. Indeed. And so it is.